What happens when you try to take the Maga Republican Congress member conspiracy theories about January 6th that they freely spread in the halls of Congress and try to bring them into a court of law where evidence matters? Well, this is what happens. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. So on Friday, before the verdict in the Rudy Giuliani defamation case, the judge presiding over that case has a docket of other cases. The judge in that case was Federal Judge Beryl Howell. She was previously the chief judge, like the top judge, top federal judge in the Washington, D.C. District Court. And in addition to hearing the Giuliani case, she hears other cases throughout the day. So while the jury was deliberating there, another January 6th case came before her. And the lawyers for the insurrectionist, one by the name of John Pierce, tried to make this argument that the Maga Republicans on Congress keep spreading, is that January 6th was an inside job and that therefore this criminal defendant who was on trial in this case before Federal Judge Beryl Howell needed more documents and discovery on ghost buses. And this is what these Maga Republican members of Congress in the House of Representatives state, that these buses were actually driving all these members of the FBI who were really involved in the insurrection, because the Maga Republicans say that it was a Fedsurrection, not actually an insurrection. It was actually caused by the FBI, and the FBI is to blame. That's a completely deranged and utterly ridiculous conspiracy that is so far-fetched that it's like a flat earther thing. And that's basically what Judge Beryl Howell said when she was presented with this. Judge Beryl Howell said, "What, ghost buses? What is this nonsense that you're talking about?" She goes to the defense lawyer. "Why is it called a ghost bus? What are you even talking about, counsel? We are not going down this rabbit hole in this case. A ghost bus?" She goes, "Did you come up with that yourself, counsel?" And then the defense lawyer, John Pierce, says, "I think ghost buses, Your Honor, is a Clay Higgins term, Congress member Clay Higgins." And then Judge Beryl Howell goes, Who are you talking about?" And then Judge Beryl Howell goes, "What is this, like some political weirdness? I'm not going to waste time. I'm not going to waste the court time on some weirdly described things. I'm not wasting the court's time on this weirdness." As one court observer who was there also said, "I wish you could see the face right now that Judge Beryl Howell was making." Jordan Fisher wrote, "I wish I could accurately describe the faces Judge Howell is making right now as the defense lawyer for the January 6th insurrectionist is trying to explain his colleague's request to get more info from the government about their ghost bus theory, And this is all coming from the Maga Republicans on Capitol Hill. Specifically, as I just mentioned, the lawyers cited Clay Higgins, one of the Maga Republicans who spreads these deranged lies about ghost buses. Well, here's an interview. This is, as Federal Judge Beryl Howell would call it, the political weirdness. This is Clay Higgins from an interview from this past week. Play the clip.
But they're going down. These men in their high perch, in their position of power and authority, that are walking upon our entire history, our deepest core principles. They're not going to get away with it.
They have so far.
We'll see.
Powerful people in this country, they want to make sure no one hears your voice. They want everyone to look at you like a far-right, crazy conspiracy theorist. Is that who you are?
No, man. I'm a regular American man.
More on Clay Higgins in a moment. But here is Clay Higgins when he was questioning, if you even want to call it that, the FBI director, Christopher Wray, the current FBI director. Mind you, Christopher Wray, the FBI director, is a Republican. Rose up the ranks, was in the George W. Bush administration, was a federal prosecutor, was appointed by Donald Trump. Christopher Wray's been a Republican his whole life, appointed by Donald Trump, yet he is now blamed by MAGA and Donald Trump for overseeing the FBI, which they lie about and say caused the insurrection, they were the actual insurrectionists and it was a Fedsurrection. Watch this questioning as Christopher Wray gets questioned by Clay Higgins, and Ray's like, what? A ghost bus? What are you a ghost bus? What? Here, play this clip.
Director Wray. Last year, you might recall, sir, our exchange regarding the FBI's involvement on January 6th and prior. I'm happy to jog your memory to quote, according to the record, I asked you, did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol on January 6th prior to the doors being opened? You responded, I quote, again, I have to be very careful of what I say. To which I said, it should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol on January 6th. A year has passed. We sit here again a year later, we the people still do not have a definitive answer from you or anyone else in the Biden administration regarding the FBI presence and participation in the months leading up to the November election and in the weeks and days prior to January 6th and on January 6th here in D.C. We can't get a straight answer, although we have a tremendous amount of evidence harvested and reviewed over the course of the last year, which you will see. In September, Stephen D'Artano, formerly in charge of the FBI's field office in Washington, D.C., testified to the House Judiciary Committee that he was aware the FBI informants would attend the Stop the Steal rally thrown on January 6th. You confirmed that the FBI had confidential human sources at the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th here in D.C., sir?
Congressman, as we've discussed before, I'm not going to get into where we have or have not used confidential human sources. But what I can tell you,
on.
You asked for a definitive
We'll move
answer.
on. It's my time. You said no, you're not going to answer. That's cool. We're watching.
Mr. Chairman, may I answer the question?
Your moment will come. This is my time. Earlier this year, an FBI informant who is reported to have, quote, his quote, under oath, marched to the U.S. Capitol with fellow Proud Boys members on January 6th, close quote. He said he was communicating with his FBI handler while people were entering the U.S. Capitol. Can you confirm that the FBI had that sort of engagement with your own agents embedded into the crowd on January 6th?
If you are asking whether the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and or agents, the answer is emphatically
You're saying
not.
no?
No.
You're saying no?
Not
Okay.
violence orchestrated
Let's
by
move
FBI
on.
sources or agents.
Are you familiar with you know what a ghost vehicle is? Director of the FBI certainly should. You know what a ghost bus is?
A ghost bus?
Ghost bus.
I'm not sure I've used that term before.
Okay. Well, it's pretty common in law enforcement. It's a vehicle that's used for secret purposes. It's painted over. These two buses in the middle here, they were the first to arrive at Union Station on January 6th, 0500. I have all this evidence. I'm showing you a tip of this iceberg.
Mr. Chairman.
These two buses
Mr.
are
Chairman.
painted completely white.
Point of order.
Point of order. Sure.
Just run over the time.
I understand, but you'll recall that Ms. Jackson Lee's been allowed to go 2 minutes before. I've been very fair in letting people finish their questioning throughout my tenure as chairman, and I'll continue to be fair on that regard. But I will make a note to the members, if you could stay as close within your time as possible. We have a lot of people that want to ask these gentlemen questions. So with that, the gentleman yields. But your point, I've been very fair in this, Mr. Ivey, with everybody on this side of the aisle just as much.
I don't think I accuse you of being unfair, Mr. Chairman.
You're making a point. Okay, thank you. I now recognize Now recognize Mr.
May I
Gray.
close this statement,
No,
Mr.
no,
Chairman?
I think your time is expired, Mr.
I note that other members across the aisle have been granted time, and I object to my question being closed. This is a very significant hearing, Mr. Chairman, and these buses are nefarious in nature and were filled with FBI informants dressed as Trump supporters and deployed onto our Capitol on January 6th. Your day is coming,
made your
Mr. Ray.
point, Mr. Higgins. I now
Relaxing bathroom trips are great, but dealing with the aftermath, not so much. Wiping only spreads poo around. Give yourself the ultimate clean and turn your bathroom into a personal oasis with the refreshing stream of clean water from a Hello Tushy bidet. Now, I'm so glad I made the switch to a Hello Tushy bidet. Now I can go an entire day without an itchy bum or worrying about those, embarrassing skid marks on my underwear. Washing with a Hello Tushy bidet prevents poop particles from spreading to your hands and everything you touch. Hello Tushy attaches to your existing toilet, transforming it into a personal sanctuary. Make your post-bathroom experience even better with their precision nozzle adjuster, offering a targeted stream that provides an effective yet gentle clean that is 2 times better than wiping alone. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. Join the over 1 million real poopin' humans who've made the switch. Hello Tushy is offering our listeners an exclusive limited time offer of 15% off your first bidet order, plus free shipping. Go to hellotushy.com/Meidas for 15% off all bidets. That's hellotushy.com/Meidas and enter promo code Meidas at checkout. See site for details.
More on MAGA Republican Clay Higgins' background, just so you all know who this individual was. Served at various police departments, but resigned before he faced discipline for excessive force and other violations. The way he kind of rose to MAGA fame is he would make these videos of himself with this kind of tough guy act, the kind of this kind of threatening persona, but was never really able to hold a job as a police officer because of all the misconduct he would engage in. And then right before he would be terminated, he would resign. Here's one of those videos that he made, and this is kind of how he rose in the ranks of kind of the MAGA world. Play this clip.
You think men like these are afraid of an uneducated, 125-pound punk like you that's never won a fair fight in your life and holds your gun sideways? Young man, I'll meet you on solid ground anytime, anywhere, light or heavy. Makes no difference to me.
And by the way, this is how you rise in MAGA world. For example, this MAGA Republican Congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna. If you can, these are the photos that she would kind of cosplay herself as, and this was the image that she cultivated for herself, and that's what appealed to MAGA. I mean, meanwhile, you have the Democratic members of Congress who usually come to Congress not as a kind of a cosplay whatever, like they usually have backgrounds as being former federal prosecutors, as top lawyers, as having prior successful careers. But for MAGA Republicans, it's all this, routine right here. I want to show you this though, because I talked about Judge Beryl Howell, no nonsense law and order judge, and Judge Beryl Howell, again, previously the chief judge of all district court judges in Washington, D.C., but Elise Stefanik, who is supposed to be more of a moderate person, but she really isn't because she has to fit in with MAGA. She's a MAGA Republican in the leadership in the Republican Party. She sent a letter to the judicial, she filed a judicial complaint against Judge Beryl Howell to the Judicial Council. Here's the letter, December 15th, 2023. And this is what Elise Stefanik's been doing over and over again for Donald Trump and in order to help the insurrectionists. I mean, this is what the MAGA Republicans care about. You may recall that Elise Stefanik previously sent a letter and made a judicial complaint against Justice Arthur Engoron, the judge in New York overseeing the New York Attorney General civil fraud case. She brought that letter, she filed that judicial complaint against Justice Engoron on November 10th, 2023, on Donald Trump's behalf. And then once again, she's just filed another judicial complaint on Donald Trump's behalf against the renowned Judge Beryl Howell. And what she's complaining about with Judge Beryl Howell is that on November 27th, 2023, Judge Howell and a current Biden Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco, received an award, the Champions Award at the Women's White Collar Defense Association ceremony in Washington, D.C., which is a significant award, and it's promoting successful women litigators, successful women in white collar practice. And so they received an award from this very renowned and prominent bipartisan state bar association. And here was the speech that Judge Beryl Howell gave, and this is what the complaint is about. This is what Judge Beryl Howell said during the speech at that event on November 27th, and this is why Elise Stefanik is writing a judicial complaint against Judge Beryl Howell. My DC judicial colleagues and I regularly see the impact of big lies at the sentencing of hundreds of individuals who have been convicted for offenses committed on January 6, 2021, when they disrupted the certification of the 2020 presidential election at the U.S. Capitol. Goes on to say, we are having a very surprising and downright troubling moment in this country when the very importance of facts is dismissed, Howell told the annual gala of the Women's White Collar Defense Association at a downtown hotel. She says, that's very risky business for all of us in our democracy. The facts matter. And then it goes on to say, Judge Howell's fuller quote is this line. She goes on to say, the historian Heather Cox Richardson, whose book I've been reading, cautions in her book's opening line, America is at a crossroads teetering on the brink of authoritarianism, and she echoes this thought in her closing line that we are at a time of testing and how it comes out is in our own hands. So on that basis, Elise Stefanik, the MAGA Republican, is seeking the judicial oversight, which they're not going to do anything, but she's writing this letter and issuing this formal complaint against Judge Beryl Howell. That's how the MAGA Republican Congress members are spending their time cosplaying, coming up with deranged conspiracies like ghost buses, and then attacking law and order judges who stand up for democracy and follow the law. It is a very sad time in our country's history that is all taking place. I'll show you this clip of Elise Stefanik right here. And this is where Elise Stefanik was asked a question about the impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden, which is not based on facts. And Elise Stefanik gives a roaring support of Donald Trump here. Play this clip.
Yeah. Given what we know now about George Santos fabricating major portions of his life, I'm wondering, Congresswoman Stefanik, you supported him during his campaign. Do you regret supporting him? Do you regret his introducing him to donors and fundraising for him now that he's admitted to many of these laws?
Sure. Like all of my colleagues, particularly in New York State, I supported George Santos as the nominee, and the people of his district voted to elect him. Now, we just got out of conference, and George has voluntarily removed himself from committees as he goes through this process, but ultimately voters decide. And I'm very proud that in New York State, we flipped 5 districts to help deliver us the majority, and ultimately voters make this decision about who they elect to Congress. Again, this process is going to play itself out. I've already commented on this numerous times. And again, it's going to play itself out. But ultimately, voters are going to make that decision, whether it's in the primary election or in the general election. Thank you.
So, folks, that is the modern day MAGA Republican Party for you. And just as a timeline cleanser or YouTube cleanser, if you will, right here, I want to show you my interview, portion of it, with Congressmember Jared Moskowitz. And you'll see when I ask Congressman Moskowitz about the utter weirdness, and just talking about political weirdness from the outset of this video, the weirdness and the grift of MAGA and Donald Trump, and now he's selling NFTs. And if you buy 47 NFTs, he'll cut off a piece of his suit and he'll sell it. He'll give you a piece of the suit that he wore during when his mugshot was taken. He's so absurd. Here, play the clip. You talk about silly season, but this is some next level stuff. You and I both went to George Washington. We're familiar with Capitol Hill, but this is some next level weird stuff. You've got Donald Trump. If you buy, Congressman, 47 Trump NFTs, he cuts off a little piece of his suit, and he will sell you the piece of his suit with a commemorative card. And he made a video about that, Donald Trump did, that he's selling this to the people like this. Like, could you imagine for a second if you or President Biden or anybody, this is just embarrassing stuff, huh?
Oh, listen, I expect him to start selling Ivana Trump's tombstone. You'll be able to write, a little signature on her tombstone for $10,000. You too could have something on Ivana Trump's tombstone at my golf course. My beautiful golf course, buried her on hole 7. She looks great. This is literally what we're going to get ourselves back into if we elect him again. Okay, it's unexplainable how people are just drawn to this guy. I mean, he's a televangelist president, right? I mean, he's the best QVC blender salesman we've ever had. Okay. And, look, would you like the lapel? We'll cut off the lapel part of the suit, $2,000, and you can have the lapel part. And someone right now is going, honey, get the Apple Pay. I'm going to get the lapel.
The same person complaining about the economy is saying, hey, it's a tough economy. However, I'm going to spend the $2,000 to buy the lapel. So make decisions for yourself, folks. Do we care about facts? Do we care about intelligence? Do we care about the law? Or are we going down this MAGA Republican rabbit hole, which will be very dangerous for us all? I think you know the answer, but tell me in the comments how you feel. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers thanks to your support, and have a great one.
Hey, Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.